All right, well, good morning and welcome to the 10th annual Liferay Italy Symposium. This year is a special year. We're celebrating 15 years as a company and 10 years of business in the Italian market. I remember way back in 2008 when SMC, one of our partners here in Italy, told us about wanting to do an Italy Symposium. And we had so many doubts. We thought, well, who would want to come talk about Liferay for a full day? We don't know if they're going to actually pay money to come to this event. And surprisingly, we put the event together. Over 100 people showed up. I remember we were trying to save money, and so we had a talk by me, and then by Jorge, and then Joseph Shum, our Director of Business Development. And then it was back to me, and then Jorge, and then Joe. We were all working double duty because we were so afraid about whether people would show up for the symposium, and they did. And it was such a successful event that we did it again, and we did it again, and we did it again. And now here we are, 10 years later, celebrating together and looking at how we can work together to transform our companies through digital technology. And so it's been an amazing ride, 15 years as a company. I would not have believed back in 2004 when I was 26 years old, if you told me that in 2019 I'd be standing in Milan in an audience full of 350 people talking about Liferay. I wouldn't have believed you if you told me that we would have not just one product, but 4 different products, each serving a different role in the overall value proposition of the company. And I certainly wouldn't have believed you if you told me that analysts, customers, big companies would be using Liferay, recommending Liferay, and recognizing us for our strength. Last night, after I arrived, I got to the hotel. I was able to rest a bit, and I came out for dinner. And after dinner, not too far from the hotel, I decided to take a little walk and to see if I can find the amount of impact that Liferay has had in the Italian market just in the area of the neighborhood of my hotel. And so I wasn't able to get it all in one shot, but I decided to take a video to see how many customers Liferay has in the Italian market. So some of these are users of our community edition. Some of them are paying customers. Some of them may have been customers in the past, and some of them are customers in the present. But you can just see from a short walk around this area of Milan, just how many different companies that are using Liferay are found here and about. Hoping you're not getting dizzy out there. Oh, we lost it. Okay. Okay, so 15 years, many amazing customers. And it's a testament to Liferay, but more importantly, it's a testament to you, our partners, our ecosystem, our open source community, who have built the market for Liferay here in Europe, here in Italy, with some of the biggest names across banking, finance, insurance, and automotive manufacturing. So thank you for that. And in moments like last night, it's just amazing to reflect and to be proud of the companies that we serve and the business that we've built. But at the same time, I have to admit that many nights I'm worrying about the future. I'm wondering, how is Liferay going to stay relevant? And I'm seeing so much competition from companies like Adobe, Bloomreach, Acquia, even Sitecore and Episerver, Salesforce. The market is so big and there's so much competition that it's easy to wonder what the future of Liferay is going to look like. And in my worst moments, I imagined that one day Liferay is going to be this outdated, ancient, archaic technology where the only people using it are maybe your children who say, oh, you know, my dad used to use this thing called Liferay, and it's so cool because, you know, you'd have to like build it from the source and use ants, and it's this ancient technology. I love it. It's really cool. And I hope that that's not the case, and I do believe that we have a future here at Liferay. But in order to secure that future, we all need to work together and continue to provide value to our customers and partners. And so this morning and throughout this symposium, really, we want to make a case for why Liferay will continue to be relevant and valuable to you. And I want to give you 6 reasons, which again you'll hear in the presentations throughout the next 2 days. And the first really is I believe that you as a customer, the kinds of companies that you saw on the streets of Milan, if you think about the characteristics of those companies, they are precisely the kinds of companies that our technology is designed to serve. These are companies like Aon and Comune di Milano and Vodafone and NG and AXA and Sogei, organizations that are different maybe than those served by Adobe on one end or Acquia on the other. You tend to be multinational enterprises. You have requirements for supporting multiple different languages and locales, or you're mid-market leaders that are looking for the right balance of value and features, capabilities, but also ease of management. The way that you access your customers, it's not necessarily direct. If you're a retail company, you can just go online and find your customers. But if you're an insurance company like AXA or Aon, you might be working through brokers and dealers. The sites and the experiences that you're creating are for the customers and the partners that you know. These are folks who are individuals, they're named, and often they're working in the context of an account. And so the experience that you personalize has to not only be for an individual, but it has to be for the whole group that they're a part of. And then finally, you're an organization that can't necessarily just take a piece of software off the shelf and use it directly. You have requirements for customization, for integration, for security, for data processing, and these are the things that lead you to a solution like Liferay. This year, as every year, we made a presentation to Gartner about the way that Liferay is unique in the market and differentiated against our competitors. And we used the example of this fictional auto manufacturer called Ryuvo, who is a multinational working across Europe, the US, and Asia. And their IT department is working with their lines of business to tackle a number of different digital initiatives. And the first might be to support their dealerships across, let's say, the United States. Dealerships that sell the cars both through small family-owned operations and large national franchises. And so as these dealerships that are being pressed on IT budgets and margins are trying to figure out how to compete in the digital channel, they're looking to the corporate IT center to provide websites as a service to each of the dealerships. And companies like Ryuva are able to do that through Liferay because of the way Liferay is designed to support multiple organizations in a complex hierarchy. You also have the situation where after the cars are purchased, individual dealerships, their service departments need to order and purchase spare parts on behalf of their end customers who are coming in for service. And this is a complex B2B commerce scenario that isn't necessarily addressed by more B2C solutions like Magento. And then finally, Ryuvo is also undergoing a digital transformation initiative where they want to servitize the long-term relationship they have with the end customer by using data about the usage of cars, fuel efficiency, mileage, and driving behaviors to take that data and to analyze it so that they can help the customers make more efficient use of their vehicles, to anticipate service needs, and to proactively make repairs before the car actually breaks down. And so just like Ryuvo, our customers here in Italy, in Europe, and beyond, when you look at their requirements, these complex sales networks, different relationships with groups of people, different ways of reaching end customers, and finally serving different audiences that are all coming together to serve one purpose. These are the ways that Liferay is trying to add value to your organization. The second reason for Liferay and the way that we're different from our competitors really comes down to this idea of digital transformation not being just a new website or a new mobile app or a new Angular front end, but it's really about transforming the whole experience of the customer. And this means everything that the customer sees, as well as everything that happens behind the scenes within your organization. In recent research from McKinsey, they found that a leading energy player was able to reduce the loss of customers by 40% by creating a two-click system for renewing their service when moving from one apartment to another. And on the face of it, it seems like this is a pretty straightforward value proposition. I'm going to put a form on a website, I'm going to let people fill it in and let me know when they're turning off their service here and turning it on over there. But the reality is not so simple. You see, there's a lot going on the customer-facing side, websites, phone calls, service visits, but there's also a lot going on internally at the company across your scheduling department, your customer service center, and your billing systems. So in that scenario, when someone is moving their apartment from one address to another, they're going to request a service on the website, and you can make that form really nice. It can be responsive, very few fields, very easy to use, and that's great. But if on the back end of it, your scheduling service is done on a spreadsheet or it's done manually, if it's using an antiquated service that takes a very long time, the customer experience is still going to be negative. Now let's say you finally come back with that service time to the end customer. Customer realizes they're not able to make it. They need to change the appointment. Well, they said, the first time it took so long, I'm just going to pick up the phone. And if when they call into the service center, they have to wait for a long time, or if the service representative doesn't already have an idea why that customer is calling, again, you're going to have that negative customer experience. Well, finally, they agree on a date. The service technician shows up. They're very professional. They know how to handle the customer, and very quickly gets the service turned on. And then finally, that should initiate a billing event in the back end again. So here you can see that across multiple different channels and multiple different departments in the organization, all of these things add up together to create the customer experience. And of course, you have to do it in the digital channel, but you also have to do it in the organization. So how is Liferay trying to solve this problem, and why do we believe we can do it better than any other vendor? On the customer-facing side, everything that you're seeing in Liferay 7.2 and the other products is our working across all the products to deliver connected and consistent journeys for your customer-facing experience. Let me just delve into that a little bit. So imagine that you have different documents. Let's say you're a manufacturing company and you have different specification sheets, service manuals, product manuals. You want to personalize that. And so you've got that service. On the back end, you want to make sure it's consistent across your front-end app, your mobile apps, other touch points with the customer. Well, we've designed Liferay in 7.2 to have these reusable back-end services that are accessible not only through the Liferay front end, but via open API into any front end that you can imagine. And these are reusable, they're consistent, and they're connected, again, across all of these touch points. Now, you're personalizing these documents for your customer. They're clicking on some of them, they're not clicking on others. You want to understand what is most interesting to your customer. And so again, it's important that your data collection, how you look at the way that your customers are behaving across these touch points, are aggregated into one system and then analyzed so that you can further refine and enhance the experience based on your understanding of the customer. And then finally, as you build more and more of these experiences for your customers, it's important that these components, they start to become reusable. And again, we're looking at how to do this not only in Liferay, but in non-Liferay front ends. And so when you look, for example, at our new web experience management for Liferay 7.2, you'll see some of these characteristics in place. You'll see that business users will be able to readily reuse components that are created by front-end developers, and these components will not only show content, but they'll be able to show these reusable services at work. And then you're going to also be able to consume some of these components in the non-Liferay front ends as well. Now, as I mentioned before, it's important to do this on the customer-facing side, but what about the back end? Well, one of the things that Liferay is trying to do in 7.2 and beyond is to help organizations become more efficient in the execution of their processes by measuring performance and improving it over time. And so you can imagine, for example, in a B2B buying process, that there may be different bottlenecks as you're responding to customer needs. It may be in the process of verifying an order and approving it. So you might actually have orders submitted that have to be approved by a manager, and you want to see whether managers are responding in a timely fashion to their order submitters. You might find that applying special discounts, getting approval from your B2B sales rep for those special discounts is where the bottlenecks are. Or it may be that your inventory and fulfillment systems are taking a long time to update the time to delivery in the front-end system. So Liferay is looking at the different ways that we, as a digital experience platform, can make you run your processes more efficiently by measuring your performance and allowing you to improve it. The third reason for Liferay. We have evolved over the last 15 years from simply thinking about how we as a platform can be used to build the solution to how you can actually deploy it, manage it, and evolve it in production. And you'll hear much more about this from Zeno Rocha, our Chief Product Officer at the Liferay Cloud Division, as he talks about DXP Cloud. But again, McKinsey in their research is talking about how organizations like the ones Liferay serves, we need to be moving at two different speeds. The slow, predictable, manageable speed that you're used to operating at, this is important for your back-end systems that have to be rock solid, secure, dependable, there 99.9999% of the time. But at the same time, some of your customer-facing initiatives or your digital transformation initiatives, you need to move a lot faster. You need to be willing to put things out there that are still a little bit buggy, learn from your customers what needs to be changed, and then quickly deploy another version. And so as we're looking across the Liferay product portfolio, we're seeing ways to provide this extended value proposition beyond just building the solution to actually deploying, managing, and evolving it over time through DXP Cloud from the IT perspective, where we are providing not just a place to put your Liferay solution, but a place to really change the way your IT organization works from more of a traditional model to a fully DevOps model. But we're also looking at this from a business user perspective. So how can we give business users tools to respond quickly to user inputs and customer data as well? And that's where Analytics Cloud comes into the picture, where you'll see, for example, through A/B testing, as you try different messaging, as you try different versions of forms, how are customers responding to those, and how can you then improve the experience for your customers using that insight? The fourth reason, and this is really the theme of the next talk, our Vice President of Engineering, Jorge Ferrer, is how can Liferay do a better job of adding business value into everything we do? So over the last 15 years, one of the ways that we've evolved as an organization is that we went from being very tech-centric, very engineering-led, and just saying, oh, this is a really cool feature, we just want to build it, put it out there, and let's see what happens. And I have to admit, we still do some of that, but we're being much more mindful. When we design products, when we build a feature, how can we make sure that there's business value? So I just want to show you two different vignettes of that. One is in this value proposition of how can we enable B2B sales teams to sell through the digital channel and to allow B2B customers to self-service. And so we're thinking about things like, how can we build a product catalog experience for B2B manufacturers so that out of the box, it just works, where we've thought through things like the user experience for reviews, comments, and ratings, where we've integrated in our document library and our web content management system for creating these pages and adding again, spec sheets and owner's manuals and things like that. We're thinking through problems like, how do you navigate through a complex hierarchy of products in a B2B product scenario? Or can we just have the dealer locator page working for you out of the box? You're going to see more and more of that from Liferay over the coming years. We're also looking at this for the insurance industry. So if you are a mid-market insurer competing with the very largest names in the insurance industry, and you've got limited IT budget, and you go to market through independent agents that sell both your policies and your competitors' policies, the thing that's going to make the difference for those agents preferring to do business with you is the quality of your agent experience. And so one of the things that we've built is an agent portal experience where mid-market insurance agents can actually file claims on behalf of the end customer so that the end customer can very quickly get through this very traumatic experience, get the reimbursement for their repairs, and quickly go on with their lives. And this is, again, it's a built-out experience that would work out of the box, but still has the flexibility and the customizability that you've come to expect from a Liferay solution. And finally, we're starting to talk to some of our partners about how we can bring partner-led solutions to the market. So here in the Italian market, for example, SMC has been working with IoT, and they've been creating a platform for how you can enable servitization in the manufacturing industry using IoT, and we'd love to figure out how to go to market with partners like them. In North America, we've talked to a partner in the Northeast that is working on a retail dealership experience, and they're starting to propose that to their customers, and they're going to bring that to market. So at Liferay, we understand that we're not going to cover every use case. We're not going to cover every business value proposition. We're going to work with our partners to extend our reach into more and more verticals. Well, one of the other exciting things that we're happy to announce in 2019 is that we are investing in your success. And if you've been with Liferay for a long time, you may understand that the experience of becoming a Liferay customer, downloading software from our customer portal, and then wading through lots and lots of documentation, which is in 5 different places. It's in videos, it's in knowledge bases, it's in PDFs. You got to scour the message boards. It hasn't really been a great experience until now. And we've never wanted to be this kind of company, but a lot of software companies, we're really there with you through the POC and the demos and through the whole sales process. And then finally we get you through legal, you sign the contract, and then we send the invoice. And at Liferay headquarters, we give each other a high five, and we're happy to have another customer. And then we're like, well, we got to go get the next one, right? And what happens to you? Well, we've got this platform and this platform as a service and this new commerce thing. And how do I use all this? How do I make sense of it? How do I make sure that it's not just another thing that I bought that's going to ultimately create dissatisfaction and make my marketing department unhappy or make my business users unhappy? And so we are investing in customer success, which is 3/4 of the life cycle of the customer relationship that we have with you. We have hired a new VP of customer success who used to lead their strategy at Salesforce. He used to be a senior director of customer success strategy. He's joined Liferay, and he is putting together our entire success program. And I want to give you just one example of how Liferay customer success is going to improve the experience for you as our partner and our customer. So recently this summer, we had a customer. It's a very large bank in the US that has been using Liferay for some time. And they were ready to go into production. And they were really frustrated because their performance testing revealed that Liferay wasn't holding up under stress. They were just throwing minor loads at them, and they weren't able to hold up. And they tried to figure out what was going on. They logged a ticket in our support system. And you all know how our support organization is very, very helpful. They will drop everything in order to help you. They will fight any fire. They are there for you 24 hours a day. And so our support was working with this large American bank. After about 20 hours of diagnosis, they had to escalate it to sort of the senior technical help. And senior technical help couldn't figure it out. They had to escalate it to the director of support and then to the VP. That got escalated to the VP of customer success. And then that got to our global services. And then finally to our software architect. And what they found out that across these 3 critical issues, it was actually just configuration. So it wasn't even a bug. It was just 3 things that you had to set in your portal properties file that would make Liferay ready for this production environment. And so after about 100 hours of helping this customer, about 35 man days, 10 plus Liferay people in the organization, we were able to resolve this issue. And yet the reality was that they were still kind of unhappy because, well, it's great that you were so helpful, but if you had just helped us from the beginning with a little bit of training and guidance, then we could have avoided this altogether. And so the vision of customer success is that for every customer, we're going to invest at the beginning of the project. So a year and a half earlier, we're going to give you 10 hours of our time along with guided journeys online, maybe about 3 days, and we're going to make sure that you're using Liferay properly so that you're set up for success from day one. And in fact, just last week, we had a deadline of, I believe, November 1st. So actually about 12, 13 days ago, we were very excited to launch our very first online journey for Liferay. And this is for getting success with Liferay DXP Cloud. So you can actually access this on liferay.com right now. If you go to the English version of the site, you go to services, you'll see a big flyout menu, and on the right, you'll see you'll get access to the DXP Cloud journey. But the DXP Cloud journey is designed for 8 different roles in your organization, 3 different stages of the journey: planning, development, activation. And then it's going to walk you through the entire process. So a combination of videos, online learning, as well as regular check-ins with your account manager or your customer success manager, so that from day one, when you're getting started, when you're trying to make your way through all of this Liferay technology, you actually know where to go, who to talk to, and what your next steps are. So we're very excited about this and very happy to let you know that this is available today for Liferay DXP Cloud. And the next journey we're tackling is for Liferay upgrades from 6.x to DXP. And then we're going to go into Commerce, Analytics, Cloud, and the entire portfolio. Well, so that's a lot of content. And I just want to leave you with one last reason why Liferay. And I'm going to talk about this more in my closing talk. But after 15 years, I'm here to tell you that in spite of the big stage, the fancy lights, the branding, all these different C-levels and VPs, in many ways, we are still that same small, founder-led private company that we were 15 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, and today. And you know, when I think back to that first Liferay Symposium that we did with SMC, and many of our partners here were there as well, all we did was we hung up a big banner in a church that had the Liferay logo on it, and then we talked about Liferay for about 8 hours. And in a lot of ways, that's still what we're here to do. The other thing I love about that picture, and I'll make a confession. So about 4 weeks ago, Karen Noonan, my director of channels, told me, hey, November 13th and 14th, we have the North America Partner Summit. You're going to be there, right? And I was like, oh, man, I really want to be there. You know, we've got 45 different partners from all over the world, from UK, India, and Latin America and North America coming there. This is like half of our business. It's really important, but Italy Symposium is those same days. Like, can I do both? Can I maybe go to day 1 of the Partner Summit and then fly over to Milan for the rest of this? I was like, no, it's like, I got to choose. And it wasn't a hard choice, right? I wanted to be here. And the reason is, I believe this market, this ecosystem, Ariadne, SMC, Open Reply, SourceSense, all of you guys, but also all the names that aren't on here. I always call out Jader Francia. He's like running around like a madman doing our Liferay user groups and doing all this stuff. You know, all of our community members. You guys are in so many ways a picture of what makes Liferay great and what makes Liferay special. And when I think about the kind of business that I want to build, I think it's exemplified by the Liferay Italian ecosystem. And so that hasn't changed in the last 15 years. We're still here doing this with you. We're still very much excited, very much humbled, and very much grateful to be writing this story together. And you're very much a part of it. So let's keep going for the next 15 years. Thank you very much. Thank you, Bryan.